Welcome to Agriculture in Review, a news program of current interest to South Dakota farmers and ranchers, prepared by the South Dakota Farmers Union. This is Allan Burke. Import quotas are being lifted again, and that immediately arouses concern among farmers. Here's the outlook. For the fifth time since last December, President Nixon has accepted the advice of Agriculture Secretary Earl Butz to increase manufacturing milk import quotas by an additional 56 million pounds. That brings to a total of 321 million pounds of additional imports allowed this year. The administration skirted the requirement that the U.S. Tariff Commission study the impact of such manipulation of import quotas by claiming that an emergency situation exists. The Tariff Commission has been asked to make the required study, but it will make no difference since the study will not be completed for many weeks and the import order takes effect now. The order affects butter, butter substitutes containing butterfat, and butter oil imports. Wheat and cotton import quotas also may be lifted by the President. Acting again on the advice of Secretary Butz, Mr. Nixon ordered the Tariff Commission to study whether the wheat and cotton quotas could be lifted without interfering with USDA programs or reducing substantially the amount of products processed in the United States from domestic wheat and cotton. The study will include milled wheat as well as cotton and its byproducts. The Commission is to report its findings at the earliest possible date. Also of interest on the wheat front is the announcement that estimates of worldwide grain production have increased dramatically over earlier forecasts. World wheat production is now expected to be about 354.8 million tons, or about 5.5 million tons below anticipated worldwide demand. All major wheat exporting countries are expected to increase production except Argentina. The Soviet wheat crop is now estimated at about 100 million tons and could go as high as 110 million. If the higher Soviet prediction is reached, world wheat production would be slightly higher than world demand. The United States is expected to export about 31 million tons of wheat. The estimate for world production of corn and other feed grains is 578.5 million tons. That's some 34 million tons above the 1972-73 production. Production in all major exporting countries is up. The USSR is expected to produce about 85 million metric tons, up 15 million tons over a year ago. The U.S. is expected to export about 37.5 million tons. Foreign import demands are expected to remain firm. Total world feed grains demand for 1973-74 is estimated at 582.4 million tons. That means a possible shortage of 4 million tons. Also of interest is the commodity trading legislation now being drafted by a special subcommittee of the House Agriculture Committee. Chairman W.R. Pogue of Texas said the full committee voted informally to authorize a strengthened Commodity Exchange Authority, CEA, within the Agriculture Department. He said the committee agreed that brokers should be prohibited from trading for themselves and their customers at the same time. Additional commodity delivery points should be established, and that the CEA should be authorized to set rules for commodity exchanges. Representative Neil Smith of Iowa, who is chairman of a small business committee, is planning hearings on the commodity exchanges, and USDA has announced new regulations to take effect December 1st that will require the commodity contract markets to police themselves. As a footnote to this week's program, and with Christmas mailings around the corner, it brings focus on the fact that hearings on proposed postal rate increases are scheduled by the Federal Cost of Living Council. The hearings will begin November 14th and be aimed at rate increases which are set to go into effect January 5th, 1974. Included in the rate increases is a proposed 38.5% raise in newspaper mail rates. First-class mail, and that's probably what interests you the most, would increase from 8 cents to 10 cents. Well, you can always write your congressman. And with that, we'll close another edition of Agriculture in Review. This is Allan Burke asking you to join us again next week for another review of rural America's highlights. This program was produced by the South Dakota Farmers Union.